Hey, what is up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7. So as we know, update 1.31 massively overhauled the PP system and changed a bunch of the money builds. This means we have the potential to have a lot more better overall builds in terms of running cars in places they may have not been able to before and kind of all that good stuff, as well as some new builds coming through. So what I'm going to be doing for the next week is basically updating a bunch of builds, bringing in some new builds and just running at least a week-long series to kind of cover all of those for update 1.31. So the first one we're going to do here is using the Audi RS5 DTM Turbo. You can pick this up from the Audi section of Brand Central. All you want to do is go ahead all the way to the end but one and pick up the Audi RS5 Turbo DTM 19 for 1 million credits. Now I'm going to assume a ton of you picked this up when it was brand new for update 1.31, and it is a fantastic grinding car. In fact, one of the easiest builds for update 1.31, and it's helped out with the addition of being the only Group 2 with DRS. So in terms of the build, we're going to be running racing hard tyres for this build. You just want to get a set of those. Then we're going to do the body height at 55 at the front, 90 at the rear. Anti-roll bar is 4 at the front and 8 at the rear. Compression 30 at the front and 40 at the rear, with expansion being 40 at the front and then 45 at the rear. Next we'll move on to natural frequency, which is 430 at the front and 470 at the rear. Negative camber angle is going to be 1.5 at the front and then 2.5 at the rear, with the toe angle being at 0 at the front and 0.15 inwards at the rear. Moving on to the LSD side of things, the initial torque is going to be 10 at the rear, acceleration sensitivity is 15 at the rear, and braking sensitivity is at the minimum of 5 at the rear. Fully customizable racing transmission, set this to 280, and here are the manual adjustments as well as the final drive, so just ensure that they match up correctly. I believe they may be standard. And then onto the ECU side of things, we're not limiting power and we're not adding ballast. Downforce is maximum at the front at 750 and maximum at the rear at 1000. No turbocharger for better fuel consumption on this build. However, we do have the anti-lag system set to strong. Nothing else needs changing, super simple build. Big shout out to Azabir for this livery. He has plenty of awesome liveries, and when I was looking for one for the Audi RS5 DTM, this is one that instantly stood out to me. So massive shout out to him. Go and check out his work, and he's certainly one you want to be following for some amazing liveries. Now, going to world circuits, go over to Europe and go to Italy, Sardegna road track. All the way to the right, it's the World Touring Car 800 event, and you're going to want to go ahead and enter that one. So now let's go over and talk about the build itself before we get into the strategy that I use for this event. So this is a super simple event to run, and this build is a super simple build to make. It doesn't require any messing around. It's built mainly for fuel consumption and really high grip, and that's where update 1.31 allows a lot of these cars to be even better than before, because you can run massive amounts of downforce, meaning that these cars are insanely grippy. And that's how the Audi is. It does have the benefit of DRS, which makes it very, very good in a straight line as well, and very, very good through the corners. So it's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none build. It's a very, very good overall build. So the Audi RS5 is brand new for update 1.31. Overall, it's a fantastic car, and it joins the Group 2 roster, which is rather quite small in comparison to, say, the Group 3, Group 4 and such. And they are some of the best grinding cars in the game, and this one is no different to the rest of them. It does have the added addition of DRS, which is fantastic for your straight line speed in this car. I've modelled this one very closely to a pre-1.31 update build in terms of its suspension and ride setup, which was the CLK build, which was one of my personal favourites that I ran very, very often. So suspension wise, it should feel very similar to that one. So let's get into the strategy. It's super simple, this one. All you need to do is just set the fuel mix to 3 and you are good to go for the rest of the race. You don't have to worry about weather at Sardinia. It is a bit of a lower paying event, but it's super simple and super straightforward. In terms of driving this car, I do recommend short shifting just to increase that fuel consumption, or I guess decrease it overall, and allow you to get extra laps in. If you do drive it sensibly enough, you should have enough fuel to just do a single stop. So with the presence of DRS on this car, it massively helps out when it comes to the more straighter parts. Realistically, you can really run DRS in a lot of places on this track, so use it as much as possible. In terms of taking the lead of this event, you want to be aiming to do it around about lap 2 or 3. As you can see, I'm coming up towards the end of lap 2 where I took the lead. In terms of your first pit stop, take it at the end of lap 7. This will be your one and only pit stop done and dusted. Here, it's up to you. You don't have to take a new set of tyres, however you can. It will just increase the overall time of your pit stop. However, those hard tyres will last to the end rather quite easy, with the drop off in performance being around about lap 13 to lap 15 before you really notice any lap time dropping. At this point of the race as well, you want to take a full tank of fuel, and that is you basically done and dusted for the entirety of this race in terms of your pit stops. When you exit though, just be careful to watch for oncoming cars, because they will absolutely barrel down that straight and they are not afraid to pile into the back of you. Now, when I did leave the pit, I came out into a ton of traffic, so I would actually recommend putting it on higher difficulties, maybe medium or hard. I'm actually running this on easy because I was realistically just going to test this build at first, but found it massively comfortable, so felt like I just wanted to get the footage straight away. Yeah, honestly, just be careful with the traffic because they will massively slow down your lap times. If you do get worried about fuel use, by the way, I do recommend around about lap 10, just begin to short shift absolutely everywhere, keeping the revs to a bare minimum. I recommend around about just over the halfway point. This will allow you to basically just save a bit more fuel than you usually would. Do this for a couple of laps and it will definitely ensure that you've got enough fuel to the end, but only do this if you're worried about your overall consumption. In terms of the race win, we come across the line on lap 15 for a very, very easy win. So let's check how the car did overall at Sardegna 800 event. So as you can see, it did it in a 24 minutes 43.692, which is not too bad, especially when we've lapped the entire rest of the field at least twice. We did a best lap on lap 5 of a 1 minute 35.295, which means it does have very good one lap pace, and you can get that even lower if you want to run less downforce at the front of the car. However, this build is made to be overall accessible to everyone and very easy to drive, so it does suffer a bit for its overall lap times. It's going to be 727,500 credits in those 24 minutes, and as you can see, it's going to get you your daily ticket if you haven't done so already. So there we have it in the first of a line of at least a week-long series of basically updating builds, doing new builds and stuff for update 1.31. I may do them for maybe 2 weeks. I'll just kind of see how it goes. I'm still sort of researching and developing different builds day to day, so you know, it might kind of take me a while to get some ready and going. I do want to take a quick bit of time to just apologise for not uploading as consistently the last week. I came down with stomach flu, and basically, in all honesty, it made an absolute mess of me. I kind of started feeling better and then I'd feel worse, so it just made making content a bit impossible for those few days. However, I am back with daily uploads now, so I do apologise for that hiatus, but I am back making content pretty much every day now, hopefully for at least the rest of the month. Big thank you to everyone, including my channel members and my sponsors, the Controller people and Poggers, for their continued support. My Discord, my Twitter and my donation link will be down in the description down below. Have a fantastic day and I will see you tomorrow. Peace.